Welcome to Diary of a Dreamer, where resilience unlocks your potential. I'm Tasha Eisinger, and each week I'll bring you powerful stories and practical insights from my own experiences and inspiring guests. Whether you're facing challenges or chasing dreams, this podcast is your go-to for motivation, building confidence, and practical tips for transforming obstacles into opportunities. Let's dive into today's episode and start turning your dreams into reality. How have you ladies been?
We've been great.
Great.
Yeah, we just had coffee, Shannon and I.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tea
Tea.
at this really cute place. So that was a lot of fun.
Cloud walking.
Cloud walking is wonderful.
Wonderful. It's
Yeah.
really nice. I've never been there before.
Yeah, I get really into tea this time of year too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Emily, you and I haven't seen each other since we were in a mom's group, which
Mom's
was
group.
like a million years ago.
Ages and
I
ages
didn't
ago.
know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I've been to the museum, I've seen you
Uh-huh.
and I haven't been able to see you. So for everybody that's listening, I'm sitting here with Shannon and Emily from the Children's Museum of South Bend. It's a super cool place that I think everybody needs to know about. So that's why I, of course, had to interview you ladies. So kind of walk us through a little bit of how it got started and that whole process.
Yeah, so unfortunately it started because my little boy Finn passed away when he was almost 6. He loved children's museums. He just had such curiosity and creativity and such a spark of life, and just absolutely loved being at museums. And so we were looking for a way to memorialize him, and that just seemed like a natural fit. We needed one here, and we knew that it was something that he would love. So that's how we started in 2018, and started with a community interest meeting. And it was clear that people really were looking for a space for their kiddos.
Absolutely.
Along these lines, yeah.
And it's a beautiful space for kids. And I think it's a really beautiful way to honor your son.
Thank you. I feel like we tried to build it so that everything in there felt like something that he would have loved. That was really important to me as we were designing it. Yeah.
Well, we would have gotten along really well because I loved all of it. It's a lot of fun. It's fun being there, even as an adult, actually. It's very cool. Yeah. So I think sometimes people, they know that they want to do something. So like starting a children's museum seems like a huge undertaking, you know, setting aside the motherhood aspect of processing, but like the actual, you know, developing the plan and putting the plan in place. And I know that sometimes I'll tell people with my book series, I knew like how to type it in Microsoft Word, but where do you go from there, right? And that's a much smaller
undertaking too.
So,
absolutely. I will say it's probably not something I would have ever even contemplated doing if I hadn't lost Finn. It just wouldn't have felt possible. And I had to be in kind of a state of insanity to feel like it was something that I could manage. And you know, just having that being in that liminal space really kind of allowed me to feel like I had no sense of fear. I had no sense of like, is this going to flop? It didn't matter. You know, it felt like I need to do it.
It's probably almost like a compulsion.
It was
right, like
absolutely a compulsion. Yeah,
serious drive of this has to be done. And I don't care if it's perfect. It has to
happen. I've made this commitment at this point to my son, and I'm going to see it through. And it was also, I mean, it was life-saving for me. It gave me something to focus on at a time when I really, really needed something to focus on.
Yeah.
So, and then even, you know, even after the first couple of years, you know, going into the pandemic, it gave several of us something to focus on at that time.
Yes. Such a hard time for everybody. And also, how do you have a museum during the pandemic?
So the way we opened was kind of right in the middle of the pandemic, and we opened as for bubbled groups. So we asked people to rent out the entire space and to come in with people that they already felt comfortable,
like their own little cohort.
Yeah,
like
so we allowed them to kind of design who they wanted to be in the museum with, and it worked. You know, I mean, obviously we were very anxious to get to the point where we could start opening our doors for walk-ins, especially because it's not feasible for every family to come in for $75 a pop. So it was really important to us to be able to open our doors at a much lower price point, but you know, it allowed us to at least get started.
Well, it's probably kind of I don't know the word, but it was almost good that you eased into it instead of, you know, all this planning and time and processing and then just dive in head first. It might have been too much, I feel like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was like a soft open, so it was kind of an easy way to get started, I would say. Yeah.
And then to keep adding to, because I know you keep adding to the museum as well.
We do.
Like, how did it first start? Like, what did you have in there in comparison to now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest changes we've changed up some of the building areas and added some of the engineering equipment.
Yeah.
But there have been a few things that we've had to take out that haven't really worked or haven't taken a lot of either were too difficult to maintain or kids didn't show a lot of interest in them, or usually both. Usually if it's like difficult to maintain and hard to, or not as interesting to kids, we remove it. But so it's been a learning process for sure. It's been a learning curve.
And kids are honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, and I mean, on the flip side, we've gotten a few things that we were like, this is horrible. Why would anybody want to play with this? And the kids are like, wait, you took it away? That was my favorite. And it's like, there was like nothing to this, but I mean,
love that. Like, I love the honesty of kids, for better or worse.
Oh yeah. They let you know.
Oh my goodness. So Shannon, how did you get involved with the Children's Museum of South Bend?
I met Emily at a fundraiser, and I think I've seen you every day since.
So Shannon's like your right arm at this point.
Right and left arm. I think maybe.
We're better together.
I love that. So met her at a fundraiser. Was it for the museum or just and then you're like, hook, line, and sinker have to be involved.
All the way in. Yeah.
She really was. She like right from the start.
That's like your personality too.
Totally.
Like,
that's my personality.
You don't tiptoe.
No.
She did not tiptoe in. No. And she came right in.
Cannonball.
And in so many ways, she was just exactly what we needed at that point. You know, she really just we had done a lot of planning, a lot of research, a lot of talking to community partners, and she just came in and was like, we need a fundraiser now. We had like, she was like, no, we're gonna do it right now.
But when I came on, it was we were very close to being able to open this space physically. So we got the key, and then we went in, and we had just a crew of us that were going to pull up carpet, and we were like, these masks are so hard to find. Because the pandemic was happening, but it was not.
Like we were not, I mean, we were kind of still at the point where they were saying like, don't mask, keep the masks for the people who really need them. And
so many changes to what we were supposed to do. So you're still following all the guidelines and doing what you need to do as you're trying to do this huge feat of opening a museum.
Well, and it wasn't even here yet. The pandemic wasn't here yet, but there was just the mask shortage. So we're pulling up this carpet because the building used to be like an office and a garage that was storing old cars. And the idea was that we had all this community engagement. So we'd have a day of all the people painting for a day, and that would be done. All the people carpeting for a day, and then that would be done.
Right. Sounds great in theory.
Yeah. Right. And we could only have several people in the space at a time.
And generally people that had already been exposed to each other regularly. You know, you couldn't really bring in like big groups of people to knock stuff
which
out.
would have helped so much get it done faster.
Yeah.
Which I know that the best part when you have a vision is actually seeing it in real life, because you can see it in your head for a long time, but there's something really magical about finally seeing it and being able to touch it, and it's real. So you're probably antsy, like, we got to get this done because I'm tired of dreaming of it. It's got to be real. You know,
one very cool thing about it, though, my kids had been a part of it for the whole thing. You like walk into a store and you're like, yep, this is just here. But my kids they walk in a place now and they're like, wow, someone thought of that, built it, painted it. Like, nothing's just here for you. Someone like imagineered all of those.
That's a beautiful lesson for your kids to get, because it's true. Anybody who's done a business or created something from scratch knows there's a million things that happen behind the scenes. It's not just, oh, well, you had this idea and put it together. It's like 10,000 steps to get just to the initial process of making it come to life for people.
Yeah. Which in some ways can make it a more daunting process, but I think also makes kids feel like this is something that I can do, you know?
Right. Yeah.
My mom could do it.
Yeah. I love it.
I'd love to see your kids as little entrepreneurs someday. Right? They'd be great.
Oh my goodness. Now I know that this space is very unique for the Michiana area. what do you believe makes it so special and unique?
So one thing that I really love about our little museum, and eventually we do want to become a bigger museum and have a downtown location and more professionally designed exhibits and an outdoor space and all those amazing things. But right now we're in a very small space that is in kind of a desert for kids' activities. And so I really feel like we're able to be so responsive to the community. I had a group of neighborhood kids that would come in and watch our progress as we were building, and one of them pulled on my skirt one day and said, this is the best place in the world. And I don't think he'd been very many places, but it just was like the most heartwarming. And I think it was because he felt that it was for him. He felt
he knew
that this was being built for him and for kids like him. And so I just think the feeling of it being a space just for our community and feeling so unique and child focused, if that makes sense.
Well, and it's interactive.
Mhm.
Like, I know when my girls and I went, they're different ages. They're 6 years apart, and both of them the entire time were having a ball. They were interacting with all of the, I don't know, they're not displays, but like the segments.
We call them exhibits.
Yeah, the exhibits of the museum, and creating and being totally immersed in that world of that exhibit. And then I was having fun. I'm like, I want to go do this part. And so I just think it's really special that it's so interactive and fun, instead of just walking through something. Don't touch this.
Right.
Keep your hands back. It's like, no, dive in and have some fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did get a lot of questions from moms from the area when we were planning this, and they were like, why would I want to bring my kids to a museum? They run wild. They're going to be like getting their handprints on all the glass and destroying things. I'm like, that's totally not our concept at all. Like, we're not, we are all about interactivity and open-ended play. The more ways that you can find to play with one of our exhibits, the better. There's no right or wrong way. Yeah. Oh, here comes my little one.
Is it okay if she's on camera?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to come over here? This is Izzy.
Hi, Izzy. I love
one of our volunteers.
VIP volunteer, right? You're set up as a not-for-profit, right?
We are, yeah.
Okay, so this is a lot of money, I'm sure, to come up with a lot of people. It always takes more people, more money, and more time than what we think when we first start. So what are some needs that you have that maybe some of the listeners could help fulfill?
Yeah, I mean, we are always looking for high quality toys that fit in with one of our spaces and that are durable and in good shape. We can always just use donations, obviously. We have just hired in the last few months, we've gone from being entirely volunteer based to having a couple employees. So
that's amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing, but it also, our expenses have gone up a lot.
Yeah.
And we are really committed to keeping our admission prices affordable. So people that are able to afford to make a donation, that's always super appreciated. We also just always need volunteers.
What would a volunteer do? Because
it's really fun because you can bring your kids when you volunteer, and
they're having fun
sort of on a team with other moms, and it really just becomes like a family. Like, we're having a baby shower this weekend for one of our longtime volunteers. It just becomes like your crew, and
a community.
It's just a happy place.
Yeah.
And I think, we always love to get volunteers that, want to develop a story time or some sort of programming or art project. So if you've got some sort of passion that you'd like to share with kids in the community, come on over. But we also, we have a ton of volunteers that just want to be in the space and kind of helping out and overseeing things. So, whatever you're able to offer, we can find a place for it, I feel like.
That's amazing. I hope that people will take a moment to volunteer. I know that you're starting an author series.
We're starting an author series,
which I'm very excited about,
featuring local authors. We have 3 set up so far, one of which is Tasha.
I'm so excited because we've already done one event together.
Yes.
And it was a lot of fun. There's a great space. So the front space of the museum is all the interactive, and then in the back, there's still some interactive stuff, but it's also more like your arts and crafts section. Is that what you call it? Okay.
Maker space, we call it.
Maker space.
Same idea. Yeah.
See, this is why I'm not good at marketing. Arts and crafts. No, maker space sounds a lot better. So so you're gonna have authors. If somebody's an author.
Yes. If you're
That
a
would be
local
great.
author and willing to do a story time and maybe a small craft, you can send us an email about that and we'll get you on the calendar.
Yes. So how can people get in touch with the museum?
So generally email is the best. We're, a lot of times running around and not answering the phone. So definitely email. It's just Children's Museum SB@gmail. And we do try to stay on top of answering those as quickly as we can.
Sure. Okay. And then of course, if you have referrals, pass on referrals as well.
Absolutely.
That always helps, word of mouth. Now, remember that you are sharing something exciting for the listeners. So what are you offering today for any listeners?
If you come in and you have watched this podcast, you get a free pass.
So just mention Tasha's podcast,
Yeah.
and you can come in for one free admission.
Yay. So Diary of a Dreamer, let them know that you listen, and it's definitely worth going. So much fun. Thank you so much, ladies, for
Thank
being
you.
here and sharing about all of the great things you're doing for the community. It's awesome.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Diary of a Dreamer. I hope you found the stories and tips shared today to be a source of motivation and strength. Remember, every challenge you face is a chance to grow and move closer to your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with anyone who could use a boost of encouragement.